Who's the final rose tonight? If you did not receive a rose, take a moment, say your goodbyes.
Hello, Bachelor Nation. Welcome to the first episode of The Final Rose. I am your host, Shelby.
And I am Ellie.
And we are going to be talking about the newest season of The Bachelorette. So
Yay.
that's exciting. We recorded an episode back during when Nick's season was going on, but life got in the way, so we weren't consistent in recording. But this time around, we're gonna try and stick with it, even if that means doing it over Skype with like the shittiest quality ever. It's okay. It took us like an hour to figure out how to get this to work. But it's happening. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about The Bachelorette, and hopefully we can be consistent and carrying this over to Bachelor Paradise, maybe. Oh, God. Oh, and then fun fact, this coming winter, they are doing a Bachelor Winter Games in celebration of the Olympics.
Oh, no.
So it's going to be lit, to put it gently. I personally am familiar with The Bachelor. I have been watching the show for a really long time, probably way longer than I should have been watching it, if that makes any sense. Like my mom would watch it, and so I'd watch it with her. And the last season, or the first season that I remember really watching was like Andrew Firestein's season. And like there was a couple before that, but that is the one that I really remember. And then I've pretty much been watching it ever since. Now The Bachelorette's a little bit different. I've kind of bumped around from there. Like I would start a season and not really finish it just because I don't know. It's like less interesting to me, but now that I'm older, I think I appreciate it a little bit more. But and Ellie's experience is
the exact opposite. I have never watched The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. I just watched my second full episode last week. I don't know what's happening. There are lots of dudes, and they are crazy. That's the extent of my knowledge.
Good assessment. Good assessment. Yeah, we watched Nick's season. Like we watched the first episode together, and we had a good time. I'm sad that we didn't get to do more of it, but you know what? I have a good feeling about Rachel.
I like Rachel.
I do too. I think she's great. I think that the guys that they got for her season are an interesting mix of guys. I think you have guys who are like normal. You have the guys who I like to call they're colorblind, you know. They're like, I don't see color. We're all one race, the human race, you know, like that kind of stuff. And like just saying gross stuff like, you know, once you go black, you never go back, whatever. So I think it'll be interesting, to say the least, to see what's going to happen.
Yes.
But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. So we're just gonna jump right in. Also, we did record a mini-sode episode, which, as I was telling Ellie before we started recording, it's like an hour long. So it's not really a mini-sode, it's a maxi-sode, if anything. And we'll try not to do that again. It's just so easy to talk.
It's hard to not talk a lot.
But yeah, that episode, by the time we post this, will hopefully be up. You don't have to watch it. It's also super rough in the intro because we just kind of jumped right in. But you can watch that if you want to. You don't have to. It has the guys' bios and us talking about them just in reference to the bios, not necessarily in the context of the show. And it's just a nice way to kind of find out who we're going to be meeting on the episode. But without further ado, let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. We open the episode with Rachel doing her best America's Next Top Model impression. Like photo shoot, there's dramatic music, and it's just, very typical Bachelor, like just drama and romance and intrigue and all that good stuff. And then my personal favorite part of every premiere episode is Chris Harrison emerging from the bushes. Like in front of the mansion, and he just pops out like he's been living there the whole time. He hasn't left.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, he also got divorced fairly recently, so he probably does live there full time. Like, there's a family that actually lives in that house, and they move out every time that, like, the Bachelor's starting up and the Bachelorette's starting up, because they have money, so they got, like, 10 houses or whatever. So he probably just chills there, just has, like, a little side room he hangs out in and pops out of whenever necessary. And he pops out of the bushes, as he does, and he says that, quote, "Never have we seen anything like the outpouring of love and support for our new Bachelorette." And basically, he goes on this whole thing, recapping it and saying that she was skeptical, but she fell deeply in love, and that she still believes in love and all this other stuff. And literally in my notes, I have subtext. She's black. We want brownie points for doing something we should have done 13 seasons ago.
You're not wrong.
I mean, let's be real here. But then, of course, after Chris Harrison gets his spiel, we then emerge into the Rachel clip package of her being relatable and, like, playing basketball and just being cute, And she says something that I thought was really cute. She's like, "I'm sweet. I'm also sour. I'm sassy yet classy." And honestly, you know what that sounded like to me, Ellie?
Tell me.
A Minion meme that your Aunt Sharon would post on Facebook.
Stop.
And it would say, like, or like it would say that, and then it would be like, 1 like for Jesus, ignore for Satan.
If you want your mom to die, keep scrolling.
Yes. But then we move on to her talking about being a trial attorney and how she does civil litigation. She's a defense attorney specifically. And then we get the classic, like, fake courtroom thing going on where it's like her sitting there acting out the scene, and she's like, "I object." And it just reminded me of the scene in Legally Blonde with her admissions. With her admissions video.
Everyday life.
Yes, it was exactly like that. Then we get the classic scene of her talking about how, she's been so successful in so many areas of her life, except for love. And, she basically just talks about how, like, she blamed herself for everything that happened with Nick and why they aren't together and all that good stuff. And just basically saying, like, I should have said something sooner to him. I loved him, all this other stuff, and replaying the scenes from The Bachelor. But it's like, you know what? At the end of the day, he picked Vanessa, and let's be real here. That was a poor choice.
He chose poorly.
Because it was like Vanessa at the time, I'm sure, at least when I first was watching it, I was like, she's a good choice. Good, reasonable choice. I like her. I think it'll work out. Not going back, but like continuing on in the season and watching it, it was like every time they were together, they would fight. Like, it would start out fine, and then they would fight. But yet, he, for some reason, was just always up her ass and just always obsessed with her. And I don't really know. Somebody put it best. They were like, he thinks he deserves someone like Vanessa, but really, he really wants someone more like Corinne, who's younger and carefree, and it doesn't have all these responsibilities, all these things going on, He just wants to have fun. He convinced himself he wants to get married, but that's not really what he wants, I think, if that makes sense.
I would agree with that.
And Rachel's too good for him. I mean, we all knew it.
Her shit together.
Exactly. Like she knows what she wants in life, and she's ready to settle down, have kids, do the whole thing. And Nick, he's on Dancing with the he was on Dancing with the Stars, and he got eliminated. But like, anytime someone comes on the show and they're like, I am in love and I'm happy, and then they immediately go on Dancing with the Stars, that tells me that their intentions are far more than just actually finding love. It's getting attention. So there you go. Yeah. But anyway, so like I said, shots of her crying in the limo, freezing her ass off in Finland or wherever they were, all that good stuff. And then to recap what happened, they start talking about how during the After the Final Rose segment, they introduced 4 guys to her early. And it was a big surprise. It was a big thing. Everybody was really excited. It had never been done before. And she met Blake. She met DeMario, who bought her tickets to Vegas. She met Dean, who was ready to go black and never go back. And then there was another guy who I can't remember at this time. I think his name is Eric. I don't know. He was kind of corny, though. I didn't really like him. But anyway, so of course, now we're back to more cheesy scenes of her driving around, which she took her hands off the wheel, and I was shook. I was like, this is not good driving etiquette. I'm literally about to call the police. 911, what's your emergency? Rachel Lindsay is driving on Rodeo Drive, and her hands are on the wheel. Okay, and then they would immediately hang up on me. But yeah, so she's other great moments. She's at a college, I'm assuming her alma mater, and she's taking pictures with like college kids, and then there's these 2 random old ladies.
That was my favorite.
Oh my god. And they come up to her, and the first one, she says like she hopes she'll make the right decision and all this other stuff. And then the other lady's like, don't sleep with all of them. It's like totally not staged at all.
Definitely.
These old ladies are hip on The Bachelor, right? And The Bachelorette. They know about that stuff.
I didn't think that would stand out in my mind, but when she had her first kiss on this episode, I just remembered her telling that old lady that she wouldn't sleep with any of them.
Oh my
god.
God.
I was like, Rachel, you're a liar.
Oh my god. It's like that, there's this SNL skit that is like a play on an OC episode. Spoiler alert, where Misha Barton's character, I don't know anything about the OC, obviously. She like shoots a guy, and then it starts playing hide and seek by Imogen Heap. And it's, the What You Say song. Like,
yeah.
That's you. That was you when that happened. Like, it was
yeah,
she kissed him, and it was, what you say. Like, perfect.
It was. I was very confused
Shook.
about lying to those women.
But then we meet her dog, Copper. Oh my god.
Best part.
Literally, the most perfect dog in the world. Like, beautiful dog.
Truly.
Stunning, amazing, incredible, beautiful, perfect. Like, he's so cute. He is literally like my ideal dog. Like, he's so beautiful and so cute, and I just want to cuddle with him. And she gets to live with him in like this little fancy house that they've rented for her and like fancied up for her. It's nice, and I hope that the dog makes constant appearances.
Me too.
Oh my god, so freaking cute. But yeah, that's basically the intro we get. She wants to find love. She's excited. There's a lot of talk of all that stuff. It's very typical Bachelor stuff. Like, the stuff we hear every season from every contestant. We heard it from Nick. We heard it from JoJo. All this, all that good stuff. And then we finally get to meet more men, because that's what we came here for.
That's what we're here for.
That is exactly what we're here for. So the first guy that we meet is Kenny, and he is 35, and he is a professional wrestler. And I wrote that he looked older than 35. Oh, man. I apologize to Kenny. I don't mean him any harm. I'm just saying.
Observation, right?
And he had a cute 10-year-old daughter who I also noted was freaking tall.
Oh my gosh,
She was huge. Like, she was so tall. Like, she's cute, but she's tall.
Very cute.
She's adorable. Like, they have a great relationship. They seem to really love each other, and basically, like, that's going to be his storyline, is his daughter, obviously.
That he said that he explained to her that he was going on The Bachelorette and things like that. I thought that was very, very kind of him.
Yes, I like that. Of course, we've had guys in the past who come on the show and have a kid and they're like complete garbage. Like, they're horrible people. Mm-hmm. Just like to everybody else. But, with him, I believe it. He seems like he has a good heart. Now, watch in a couple episodes, I'll probably be eating my hat. Because I said that. Also, he said, been around a lot of rings in my life, but maybe the next one I touch will be the one I give to you, Rachel.
Oh, clever.
Oh, my God. Give that man a medal. I love it. Did you have any other notes for Kenny?
I wrote that he has sweet moves. I don't remember if he danced or something.
Yes, he did. He did.
Like...
He danced when he got out of the limo.
Oh, I do remember that.
That was the thing.
Sweet moves, Kenny.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so the next one we have is Jack Stone, who is 31, and he's an attorney. And it should be noted that there are multiple people on this season who are law students, attorneys, all this other stuff, are just involved in law in general. But Jack Stone, they refer to Jack Stone as Jack Stone. He's not Jack. He's not Mr. Stone. He's not Jay. He's Jack Stone.
Jack Stone, like a character.
Exactly, which he is. He has teeth. A lot of teeth.
And crazy eyebrows.
Yes. But those teeth, I literally just wrote Ross Gellar teeth.
Oh, that's so accurate.
Like that episode. That's exactly what it is. It's a lot. It's a lot. They're beautiful and perfectly maintained, but it gives him like a vague like Ted Bundy vibe.
I agree.
Like he seems like he doesn't seem like a bad guy by any means. He's a little
seem a little off.
Yes, a little too nice, like in that way. And basically, like, I just said all this stuff, and now it's like, oh, yeah. And he told a story about how when he was in high school, his mom died from cancer. Because I'm such a nice person. But no, like, he tells this story, but my favorite part about it was that he was sitting on, like on the grass by a lake, like, solemnly staring into the distance. Just, like, contemplating his life and his teeth, I'm sure.
Gotta think about it sometime.
Exactly. And then we have Alex. He is 28. And this guy, he was the guy in his bio who said that his favorite artist was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So, he says that people stereotype him as a meathead, and we see him, like, working out, and all that stuff. And then he goes, but wait, actually, I'm a huge nerd. And then we see him lifting a weight, and then he puts it down, and with the other arm, he holds up a book. And honestly, I was waiting for that book to be upside down, because it would it would have really just put the icing on the cake there. Like, it was ridiculous. And he basically just talks about how he likes to code, and like they have this like really like ridiculous close up of a computer and him typing in the dark like it's Mr. Robot or something. It
really reminded me of like a Sims thief when they like hack on the computer. Like sit away in the nighttime hacking other people.
Literally though. Like that's exactly what it is. It's like the most stereotypical image of a hacker. All it's missing is like Cheeto dust or something. He also says that he loves science and technology, math, Rubik's Cube. And like it cuts to him. My favorite though is in that shot where he's talking about the Rubik's Cube. In the background there's a computer, and I didn't notice this the first time, but when I went back and watched it, there's a screensaver, and it's just the Matrix style like binary code like floating up and down the screen. I'm like, this is the most ridiculous staging. Like, this is the most obvious attempt to make him look as nerdy as possible. But of course, he's ripped and he's handsome, so it like doesn't really work. And then he says that his IQ is 180, according to his mother.
Of course it is.
Of course. And, you know, typical, if you have to say it, it probably isn't true. Let's be real.
Right.
And then, of course, the last thing we see of him is him in his backyard, and his mother is talking to him, but we don't get any subtitles, and she's speaking a different language, which I think it's Greek. I think it's Greek personally, but it might be Russian.
I don't remember what it sounded like, but I wrote Russian ?
I wrote Greek ? And then I went ahead and just was like, yep, he's Greek, and I wrote Greek as hell parents. Because, like, she's very Greek, and she's like, don't go kissing people. Just really giving them a stern talking to in Greek. And they're, like, eating kebabs. That was my guess as to why they were, like, or that was my clue, was the kebabs. So, I don't know. We'll find out, maybe eventually. Okay, and then we moved on to Mo, whose real name is Mohit, but they call him Mo. And he is 26. He launched a startup. And basically, what'd you say?
He's a Bollywood dancer.
That too. But my favorite though is when he was talking about a startup, which already is a red flag to me. He said that it was hard to find time to date with his lifestyle. But I wrote, but found time to be on the Bachelorette? ? Like,
you can't date, but you can go on a reality show.
Exactly. Like, you have time. Like, obviously, regardless of not if you're going to make it far, you have a commitment. Like, there's a time frame set for when you're going to be gone, likely. You know? So it's like, okay, I could be here for a week, or I could be here for however many weeks it takes to shoot the show. So it's like, why would you... If you're so busy, why would you commit to that?
Right. Spoiler alert. Lucky for him, he didn't get a rose. So he's going back to all of his busy scheduling.
Oh, man.
I know that he's swamped.
Just swamped with all that Bollywood dancing. But he's a Bollywood dancer. He says he'd been dancing for 20 years. And it's like a shot of him dancing with his family. And like, it's cute, you know. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it was nice.
It was cool that a guy on the show admits to being a dancer, especially Bollywood dancing. I think that's kind of cool because, you know, on this show you get a bunch of meatheads who, like, all they do is just eat meat all the time and work out and talk about how much they work out, or they play guitar and that's like it. So that was nice. Then we go into the worst.
The actual worst person on the show.
His name is Lucas. And I literally just wrote no.
I wrote stop, what the fuck, no. 2 out of 10, no thanks. Bad singer, no job. Only Whaboom.
I like that you gave him a 2 out of 10. I think that's generous.
I thought it was too.
You're being very kind. But I also wrote Whaboom Seizure because it's just him yelling Whaboom. And that's it, pretty much. Yeah. And to demonstrate what he sounds like, I'm just going to hold the microphone away from my head and I'm just going to Whaboom! Like, that's it. That's it. And he does, it's like that, but 10 times louder and 10 times more, like, fucking obnoxious. It is the worst. He also calls himself charismatic, affable, all that good stuff. I wrote, I hate him. I was actually, when I was watching the episode, when it was airing, there's this journalist I follow, and she said, Whaboom guy is the new shark girl, referring to Alexis from Nick season, and I was literally like, what the fuck? That is an insult. Like, how can you compare the two? Alexis was a delight. You know, like, I had such a good time watching her. I loved her. She was scared of Nicolas Cage, which is appropriate because this guy is literally like the most terrifying satanic like love child of Nicolas Cage in Face Off and Jim Carrey in The Mask. Like, it's the most terrifying thing ever. So, you know, he's pleasant. We all love him. He's great. And then we are introduced to Blake E., who is 31, and he's a nutritionist and personal trainer, and also certified weirdo.
Yes, agreed.
And basically, we're introduced to him talking about how he works out so much. So scientifically, his libido is above average. And that is literally the topic of conversation for the rest of his, like, introduction. It is
Only talked about sex.
literally nothing else. And it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable as being kind, I think, actually. It was disturbing.
At one point he said, I don't want to come across as the guy that talks about his penis.
Yes!
much." And then he went on to discuss it.
Yes, exactly. He said, what was it? Oh, he said the penis thing. And then he said, women have told me about the amazingness of my penis.
Oh, I bet they have.
And while he's saying this, it's like shots of him like in a really like scary close up with his hair like flopping in his face. Like, his hair is horrible. Like, it's not
Bad
good.
haircut. I wrote
bad.
bad haircut.
Yes. It's all over the place. And it's like this really zoomed in shot of him, and he's got like two ladies on his shoulder who literally, when I saw them, I just had the Kill Bill sirens like running through my head. I was like, please get away from him immediately, please. And he also, when he's talking about the penis thing, there's literally a shot of him supposedly coaching this woman who's just trying to work out, you know. She's just trying to get her fitness on. You know, she's working on her fitness, and he's the only one who's witnessing it. So he is literally jumping around like he's Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia in the episode Nightman Cometh, which this is a very specific reference, but it literally is like Mac is obsessed with karate, but he's not good at it, and it's just like him swinging his arms around wildly across the stage. Like, that's literally him in this moment. It's so bad. It's just ridiculous. Some other great quotes, that his last relationship was sex-based, and there was also, from a sex ed standpoint, he went from a high school degree to a PhD.
Whatever.
It's a lot. I also wrote when I was talking about the close-ups, I specifically wrote creepy, unsexual close-ups of his face. And then the last thing he closes with is he doesn't know Rachel's sexual background, but he wants to. And to that I say, run. Rachel, please run away immediately. And then the next guy that we are introduced to is Diggy. He is 31, and he loves fashion. That's his thing. And I wrote down that he has 575 pairs of shoes.
I did too.
I also wrote that he had a cute dog.
And I wrote that he had a nice face.
Yes, I agree. Very, very nice face. I also noticed when they were talking about his when he was talking about his shoes and they showed like his collection, there was a pair of Yeezys, I think, just like sitting on the table, like front row. Like, gotta let the world know. And then also he basically just said that he thinks that him and Rachel would have cute kids. So I thought that was cute, you know.
I guess.
Not creepy. I think that's kind of a weird thing to say, but compared to the last guy, that was like...
Right, that was nothing.
That was charming.
Yeah.
Like, pleasant. Then we are introduced to Josiah, who is 28 years old, and he is a prosecutor. He has a whole sob story, and it's really depressing.
He's a sad man.
It gets real dark real quick.
Yeah.
It's, oh man. Basically, he was talking about how his brother was, really important in his life, and he loved him so much. But his brother was bullied because he was overweight, and then he committed suicide. And then it gets worse. He was like 7 years old, and he literally had to cut him down from their tree in their backyard. Like, that's a lot.
Was dark.
That is horrible. Like, I can't even imagine. Like, oh, that's rough. And basically, he just says that was kind of the catalyst for him going to the streets, trying to look for like a brotherly figure to look up to. And he was committing crimes at a young age. But eventually, he cleaned up his act because the attorney's office, they gave him a second chance. And he works there now. And, you know, basically, he's doing good. And he's given back to his community, and it's just really heartwarming and nice to see.
Yeah, it was a nice story.
Yes, I liked that. Also, there were shots of him by the water, shirtless and working out, which, you know, is always appreciated. You know, after that dark story, you know. But he also just basically said that he's very family oriented, and that's what's most important to him. So, you know, he's got his goals straight, so that's nice. And then we're done with that stuff. So then we go into Rachel at the mansion, and she meets up with the girls from Nick's season that she was with, and she's all friends with now. So we see Jasmine, Raven, Alexis, Corinne, Christina, Whitney, and Astrid. And I'm literally not kidding when I say I had to look up Whitney and Astrid's names. Like, I saw their faces and I was like, I know them, but I can't remember their names. Basically, they just talk and they give advice and say, you know, like Alexa says, don't judge anyone if they come in a costume, which, I mean, she's the authority on that because she came in a freaking shirt costume. So, you know, that's important. You know, it was just a pleasant moment to just hear them all sitting around and talking, a very positive thing. I really like that, especially considering, like, with Corinne, things weren't always nice last season. But they also talk about the after the final rose and like how the guys came out, and they're talking about who they like, and you know, quite a few of them say that they like Eric. Raven, I think, says she likes DeMario, or somebody said that they liked Dean. And that's, you know, that's all I can remember from that. But basically, Whitney, she says that Taylor from their season, she knows DeMario through mutual friends from college. And basically, she questions his intentions. Spoiler alert, but that will come back. But that's basically, like, that whole deal. And I literally just wrote, I wish this was the show all the time.
Me too.
I just love that. I don't know. There's something nice and positive about it. Just like seeing all these girls sitting around talking to each other. I don't know. It's just kind of nice, I guess. Yeah. Because with like the Bachelor, you don't really get that because it's like they're all fighting each other. And so
they're all competing.
Yeah. So like the show, the producers purposely try to build up these rivalries versus like showing, okay, there are friendships building here, because that's not really interesting television, I guess, in that context of what the show's about. But I like that kind of stuff, you know? It's pleasant. And then we get to the limo arrivals, which is the part that we're all here for, let's be real.
Yes.
So the first guy out is Peter. He is 30 and handsome as fuck.
Yes. Oh, he was so nice looking.
Yes, he was. He was really cute. And when I watch this show, a lot of the times I don't like JoJo season, I found like none of them attractive. Except for like a couple of them, but most of them, not about it. Not at all. Because she was like into like meathead kind of guys. So it was like they all looked the same to me too. It literally got to the point where I couldn't tell any of them apart for like the first couple of weeks. I almost said month, but but so yeah, Peter gets out. He's handsome as hell. He also apparently used to be a male model, so that's nice. He's from Wisconsin and basically says to Rachel that I know you haven't had the best of luck with guys from Wisconsin, referencing Nick, because Nick is from Wisconsin. And basically, I wrote something else, but I can't tell that. Oh, he also says that they would be great together just because of, you know, whatever typical things the guys usually say on the show. But also he says that they both have gaps, which I thought was cute. It's a great unifying factor. And then we see Josiah again, and he basically just says that by the end of our experience together, you will have no reasonable doubt. But and then he also says, "See you later, litigator."
I thought that was cute.
I thought that was cute too. She seemed into it. She seemed into both Peter and Josiah, so that was good. And then we meet Brian, who is 37 and is the oldest contestant on the show at this point. And he speaks in Spanish to her, just normal stuff.
I loved it. I wrote, I want to love him.
Rachel did too. She wanted to love him immediately. You know, like he speaks Spanish and it's cute, and he just says she's beautiful and all this other stuff. But I also just wrote fillers in cheeks ? I don't like there's something about his face that is like vaguely plasticky. I
agree.
I don't know if he just looks like that. Like, it's not hideous or anything. It could just be his face. It could just be, exactly. It could just be his face. I don't know. And he's got kind of weird ears. But, like, he's not unattractive. He's not my cup of tea. But you get it. You understand.
Yeah.
He's also Colombian. The next guy that we get is Kenny. Kenny comes out, and this is when he dances. And they, like, do, like, the wave together. Like, they hold hands and, like, do the wave. And it's cute. It's a cute little moment.
Yeah, that was great.
Yes. It was cute. And then we see Rob. And Rob is, like, a non-entity. But he says, "You've always been my first-round draft pick." And he's just kind of nerdy looking in general. And he also, like, later in the episode gives her, like, a baseball card with her on it. Like, he, like, custom made a baseball card for her.
Odd.
It was a little weird. And then what was also weird was that he called her jovial.
Yes.
Like she's Santa Claus. It was kind of weird. I didn't really get that. But then we see Iggy, who is literally the only thing I wrote next to him was not in fact Diggy.
They are different.
Because, like, when the show, when I was first watching the episode, like, I wasn't fully, like, paying attention to it. So people would say Iggy or Diggy. And I'm like, why are they mispronouncing Diggy's name? Like, what's happening here? And then I realized there was two of them. There was Iggy and there was Diggy. So that just made things confusing. They don't even look anything alike. It's just, like, Iggy, Diggy. It's too close.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, and also Diggy's name definitely isn't, it's not his real name. He says that he got Diggy because of his digs, his clothing, because he's got fresh style. And then we meet Bryce, who is a firefighter, and he picks her up. We are looking at Bryce. He's holding her in a fireman style hold. He also has a head shaped like a Lego. So, He's also got a weirdly, like, feminine face. Like, it's, like, not, like, in a bad way, but it's just, like, his face is very elven, I guess, or elfin, or whatever you would call it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It also doesn't help he has the ears. So, yeah, and he's whatever, who cares? And then we are introduced to Will, who is dressed like Urkel.
Which I did not find charming.
I did not either. I thought it was just kind of
goofy.
Yeah, it was corny. My problem also is Urkel is fun in small doses, but like I don't want to see him, basically.
Yes, I agree with that.
But anyway, so Will does his Urkel impression, and he's like, "Did I do that?" A spot on Urkel impression, right? And he then goes back into the limo after like slipping, and then he does like a quick change, like he's on Drag Race or something. And then he changes back into his suit and he gets out and introduces himself like a normal person. And of course she's like, "Oh, so you're Stefan now," which is Urkel's alter ego, if you didn't know. And of course, he's like surprised that she gets that reference for some reason. He's like, "Oh, you get it." It's like, well, no shit. It's like a pop culture
Right.
staple from the 90s. Then we are introduced to Diggy again. He doesn't do anything special. Then we see Kyle, who is not really relevant. Like, he's not really relevant, or at least that I remember. He basically just says, I wanted to finally show you my buns. And she's like, oh, great. And he pulls out a basket full of, I'm assuming, bread and cheese. I'm hoping bread and cheese. I mean, who knows? And of course, she eats some of it, so, she's happy with that. And then we are introduced to the Superior Blake. Superior Blake. It should be noted that he is the Superior Blake. He is Blake K. He is, I literally just wrote cute. Just cute. I
didn't say anything. I didn't like either of the Blakes very much.
Oh, see, I thought he was adorable. I thought he was so cute.
Fine. I have this thing with Marines, though, and I'm not into it. And so as soon as he said that, I was like, no, bye,
okay.
Blake.
I see. See, for me, that wasn't really a factor. I didn't really think about that either. For me, I just thought he was cute. And he seemed normal, and from, his bio, he loves Chipotle, so I'm, into that.
I did like that.
And he just seems normal. He doesn't seem like he's super macho. Obviously, I'm saying this in retrospect because of the fact that we didn't get much time with him to begin with, unfortunately. When they gave him 2 seconds of screen time, I was like, oh no. Of course, the one guy that I'm like, oh, he is really cute. Besides Peter is
yeah.
There's the kiss of death is what that is. It's the death knell on the show. If you don't get any screen time, then you're not relevant. However, people have gotten by with getting no screen time. They're the floaters. You'll be watching a season and you're like, I'm having a great time. I know all these crazy people. It's great. And then somebody will show up and you're literally like, who is that person? Do I need to call security? Where did they come from? But anyway, so Blake K is adorable, cute, at least to me, not to Ellie. And he basically just tells her about his grandparents getting married and celebrating their 65th wedding anniversary, which is freaking crazy. And then we move on to Brady, who is a male model, supposedly.
So he says.
He says he has a mallet and a block of ice. And then he breaks the ice. And says that he's breaking the ice. He literally says, he broke the ice. Brady, during the bio episode that we did, I just said that he looked like a weird version of Dennis Leary. Which he does. But yeah, nothing really special about him. Other than the fact that he's supposedly a male model. And when he walks into the room, I noted that somebody yelled, Thor is here.
What does that mean?
Well, that he looks like Thor. And
Oh.
So there.
Oh, he had the hammer when he walked in. I forgot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, see, now that you said the hammer thing, when I heard that, I just thought, oh, he's blonde and he has blue eyes. But then him having a hammer would make sense. Wow. And then we move on from Brady to Dean, who she already met on After the Final Rose. And on that, he said that he was, quote, ready to go black and never go back. Yeah, pretty much. And he basically, his introduction to her is not special this time around. He literally just asks her about her reaction to his line. And you could tell he's nervous and, realize that maybe it wasn't the smartest thing to say.
He knew, that's kind of lame.
Yeah, and not only that, I'm assuming he probably saw some... Well, maybe not. Maybe he already signed, an NDA and already had, his phone taken away or something. But I'm assuming he would have, seen some backlash to it or something if he was on the internet. But, yeah, he basically just asks her for the reaction, and she just basically says that she liked his confidence. Which, I mean...
is a nice way of getting out of commenting on the line.
Yes. It's a good way to not really talk about it, but still appear like you're talking about it. And then we move on to Eric, who she's also already met. And I just put weird and corny.
Weird and corny.
And there's something weird.
He has a nice voice.
Yes, that too. And I think he's like a personal trainer too or something. But he, I don't know. He's just kind of corny to me, and I didn't really like him. I didn't like him when I first saw him, and I didn't like him again after meeting him for the second time. He's kind of weird. Like, when he walks up to her, you can tell he's not really sure if she remembers him or not. I don't know if you got that, but I felt like he wasn't as confident in, being reintroduced.
Yeah, I think he was nervous about that.
Yeah.
I could tell that.
Which is a big contrast to DeMario, who we see next, who she's already met. And basically, like, immediately the two of them are like, oh, hey, fancy seeing you around here and all that stuff. Like, they immediately make the connection to each other. They recognize each other. It's all good. And basically, he just says that he's looking forward to first with her, and she has a good reaction, and he's just really confident in himself. And that's a recurring theme, is that DeMario is confident. He's the first seed, so he's got an advantage and, all this other stuff.
He was exhausting.
He has a lot of confidence. I will say that. He's very, 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 very confident. And you hear that about 400 times.
Yes, you do.
It's literally every time they cut to him, if he's not commenting on some weirdo or some weird thing happening, it's always like him and how confident he is.
Yeah.
Like, I have an advantage. I'm number one right now, all this stuff. And then the next one we have is Blake E., everybody's favorite Blake. Just kidding. God. And he brings along a marching band this time because he felt like he wasn't memorable the first time around, which is fair because I didn't even know that she met him the first time, and I watched it. And, like, basically, he just, he doesn't come across as creepy in person, at least with Rachel, as he did, like, in the introduction were given to him.
Yeah.
She doesn't know yet. Like, the Kill Bill sirens aren't going off yet. She doesn't know. He's got his freak flag under flaps. That was a lot. Yeah. That was a lot of alliteration. That was hard to say.
He seemed very normal when he spoke to her.
Exactly. Like, he didn't seem like he was going to talk about his penis excessively. But time will only tell on that one. And then the next one that we are introduced to is Fred. And the big thing with Fred is that he went to school with her. And she was in 8th grade, I think. And he was in 3rd grade, I think, when they went to the same school. Or at least in the yearbook that he brought. And he, like, shows her the yearbook. And you could tell she knows what's about to happen.
She's not happy.
No, she's not. And she also, like, she says, like, when he goes away, obviously she remembers him, but she also says that she knew exactly who he was when he got out of the limo, and that he was, quote, a very bad kid. Not a fan.
No.
But then we are introduced to Jonathan, whose occupation is Tickle Monster.
Gross.
So basically he's unemployed.
I was not a fan of him.
Not at all. No, that's gross and creepy, and I don't like it. Like, and he was like, I heard you like to laugh, and or like want a guy who makes you laugh or something. And he like takes her hands in his hands, and then is like, close your eyes, and you think, oh, he's gonna like do like a magic trick, pull a dove out of his pocket. I don't know. And then proceeds to tickle her, and it's fucking creepy.
Yeah, I hated it.
Me too. I'm also the kind of person who hates unwanted contact in general, so that to me just was like red flag. No thanks.
And tickling to me is just such a turnoff. Like, especially from someone that you don't know. How weird is that?
Exactly. It's like you literally just met this guy.
And now he's tickling you.
Exactly. It's just, it's creepy. No.
Yeah.
No tickling. And then we're introduced to Lee, who is my enemy, and it should be noted. Enemy. And And I will be saying that for the duration of this podcast. Like, literally my enemy. I already don't like him. I get a bad vibe from him, and it didn't help. Like, the promos really sealed the deal with that one. First of all, he gets out of the car, out of the limo, and he's just immediately playing the guitar, and he starts singing, and it is garbage.
It is not good.
No, it's horrible. Like, and at first, you know, it was one of those things where I was listening to him, I was like, oh, you know, maybe, you know, hold on, he'll hit a stride in a second and it'll sound good. And it never did. It was just
It just kept being bad.
Exactly. And he even admitted that he wasn't that great of a singer or something by saying that he, like, was no Justin Bieber or whatever, but it wasn't good.
If you know that's not your strong suit, why are you doing it on television?
But isn't his job singer? Like, they literally wrote his occupation was singer-songwriter.
Maybe he should stick to the writing and not the performing.
I also got the vibe that he was like the guy at a party who pulls out his guitar and starts playing Wonderwall even though nobody asked him.
Oh, for sure.
But for him, it's not Wonderwall. It's probably like that.
It's like Don't Stop Believin'.
Oh my God, no! It's like not Jason. It's Luke Bryan. It's like that "Shake It for the Trees" song.
Yes.
Shake it for the birds, shake it for the bees, shake it for the trees, shake it for the cats and the dogs and the fleas. But yeah, he plays that song and he is my enemy. And I don't like him.
No, not.
Yeah, no. And then we are introduced to Alex once again. And he's vacuuming for some reason. I don't really... It was weird.
It was part of his line, but I don't remember what he said. All I wrote was vacuum cleaner, which is helpful.
I thought there was a line, but when I watched it, there really wasn't. He just said he was part of the cleanup crew, but he didn't make, like, a joke. It wasn't... Like, the cleanup crew line itself could have been a joke, or it was a gateway to a joke, but he didn't go there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he couldn't find the punchline.
Yeah, it was like the setup, and then he just abandoned it.
Just fell.
So it was weird. And I literally wrote missed opportunity for joke about cleaning up the competition. Like, you had literally the most perfect opportunity, and you didn't utilize it. What is wrong with you? What is
How would
this?
you do vacuum cleaner and then not finish your joke?
Exactly, because then you're just weird. You're just walking around with a fucking vacuum the whole time. Like, what is the point? Like, there's no point to that whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense. But also, we also have a recurring joke that Alex is a robot. So, I mean,
It makes sense.
maybe he was just showing her his true form. Like,
Introducing her to his family.
yes, exactly. He's like, here's my mom. That Greek woman that you saw in the clip package, like, that's not actually my mom. That's just some random Greek woman I hired. And this vacuum, this is my mom, Roberta.
This is my ma.
But yeah, so then we move on from that weird moment to Milton, who literally just takes a Polaroid selfie with her. Like, there's nothing special about it whatsoever. And then we get to the best one. Adam.
No.
Who brings with him not a dog, not a chicken, not a cat, not a camel, not a marching band, not anything like that, but he brings a doll. A large doll. Like, this doll's pretty big. Like, this doll's as big as I am, practically.
At least 3 feet.
At least. I'm 5 foot for reference, so it's close. And his name is Adam Jr. And also it should be noted that Adam Jr. also gets, like, a little banner that says his name on it and where he's from. And it says Lyon, France, which is interesting. I was like, that's weird that they're giving this doll, like, a little, like, banner with his name on it and, like, saying he's from France. But then I knew immediately after I thought that, I was like, there's going to be some fuckery afoot. This doll is going to be involved in the plot in some way. But basically, Rachel's not feeling it.
And who would be?
Who would be? No, nobody would. It's weird. It's strange. It's not even like... I mean, it's not like the scariest doll you could have gotten because it's literally just like a drawn-on face.
Right.
But like, it's just...
weird.
It's strange.
It was very strange.
And basically he just says something about, like 2 for the price of 1. But Rachel's adamant. She's like, I like Adam, not Adam Jr. She's not about it. She does not like it. And I'm sure Adam Jr.'s feelings were deeply hurt. And then we are introduced to Matt, who is wearing a penguin costume. There's no particular reason other than the fact that apparently she likes penguins, and he gives some line about how they mate for life. But then my favorite, I literally laughed out loud when they cut to him talking like in the confessional area, and he like is tilting his head up and trying to look from underneath the beak, but he can't see. And he says that Rachel makes me feel pretty dignified. Like, beautiful editing from the editors right there. Like, that was freaking hilarious. I literally bust out laughing because it was just so ridiculous. And then we are introduced to Grant, who is an EMS, and he shows up in an ambulance. And I thought to myself, what if somebody needed that ambulance? Like, that is a waste of a good ambulance. Let's be real. And then there's Jamie, Anthony, and Jack Stone. And Mo. And that's basically like, for those guys, they don't do anything special. They just kind of show up and, say nice things to her. But with Jack Stone, I noted that I also thought that he looked like Joel Osteen, if you know who that is. And then we are introduced to Jedediah, who opens with, when Jacob met Rachel, he wept. And then I wrote, creepy. Like, I get it's a biblical reference, but it's a little intense and a little weird.
I would agree with that.
It also doesn't help that I've been watching The Handmaid's Tale, and it's like the ants in the show, they make references to Rachel and Jacob and all this other stuff a lot, so like that did not help.
It did not sit well.
No. And then Michael, he shows up and he has a brownie. And he says, the blacker the brownie, the sweeter the dude. Which, all right.
I wish you wouldn't.
The only good thing about that is she gets a brownie out of it.
You're right.
I mean, like, if a dude brought me a brownie, I'd be like, hell yeah. But I'd also be kind of nervous that there was, like, weed in it or something. And then we have just comments from the guys in general about how diverse and normal the cast is, which is the kiss of death.
Yes.
Oh, man. Because who should show up but Lucas. And Jesus wept.
And Jesus wept.
I feel like Mike Wazowski, like, put that thing back where it came from, or so help me.
Yes. I definitely agree with that.
God. And he shows up in the limo. He rolls down the window and he has a megaphone and he's just yelling into it. And he's, trying to be funny and acting like he's like a wrestler, like at a whopping 100 pounds, whatever. And then, of course, he also ends with, has one testicle larger than the other testicle, and calls himself her future husband.
Debatable, Lucas.
Yeah. And once again, we are, given a wonderful glimpse of Whaboom. Because Rachel, he says that he's all about Whaboom. And Rachel's like, oh, what's that? Can I see it? And he's like, sure, Whaboom! I literally just woke my cat up. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Missy. Oh, I'm so sorry. I honestly just feel like the devil entered my body when I did that.
I wouldn't doubt it. Would not doubt it.
It's It's ungodly. It's dark-sided. I don't like it. And basically, she's like, "Oh, that was just a glimpse," and you could tell immediately that she's not really feeling it. It was obvious. And then she comes in, and we're at that part of the episode where all the guys are in now, so it's time to start, talking to them, getting to know them. And Josiah immediately grabs her to talk. And, of course, all the guys are mad about it, But, I wrote down, let's be real here. They all would have done the exact same thing. They just weren't quick enough.
Yep.
Because
that's the whole...
Exactly.
That's why I'm mad.
You want to get time with her. And all these guys talk a big game about how they, she's the one for them. And they're confident in themselves and being here, but yet, if you're gonna be serious about it, if you're gonna walk the walk, you gotta be quick.
Yeah,
that's just how it goes. Especially on this show, where it's these guys are up talking to her until 4 a.m. Let's be real.
And 32 dudes who all want to get in quality time with her with good conversation. You gotta be fast.
Exactly. And it's not like he even did anything. It was she was open in that moment. It was time to start talking to people. And he was like, hey, it's my time. Let's go. It's not like he walked up to somebody literally right as they sat down, Corinne, and was like, can I steal you for a second? Okay. It was, okay, I'm taking Rachel. We're going to talk. And
I appreciate that bold move because, there were some guys like Mohit who didn't get a chance with her because he was too drunk to ask her.
Yes, and not only that, he was just too kind of afraid to do something about it.
Not brave. And when you're competing with 31 other guys, you got to be a little courageous.
Exactly. Now, does that mentality apply at all times? Not necessarily, because it is a show about finding love. So there are times where a bold move may not pay off because at the end of the day, the person that you're trying to compete for, it's about, you could do all the right things and they might not love you, You could do everything right and you just aren't compatible. But it's at this point in the game when you're just now meeting people, you got to get that shit out of the way.
Know who you are.
Exactly. It's smart.
Yeah.
Then, she basically just they talk and he tells her his story. It's sad, but she's impressed by what he's doing now and how he's turned his life around. It's a nice little moment. It's cute. And then we see Dean again and he asks her to build a sandcastle for some reason.
And he says that he's never built one before.
Yes. It's also weird because, did he bring the sandcastle? Or do they have, is that part of the set now?
Did he ask them to build the sand pit?
Exactly. Where did it come from?
How did this occur?
What is its purpose? Did the aliens drop it down? What is it? It's supposed to be a cute moment, but I just thought it was kind of weird. It doesn't help that they're both dressed really nice, so I was just sitting there thinking, you're going to get sand all over you. And that's the last thing you want to do when you're, in the middle of, meeting a bunch of people and trying to look nice.
Speed dating.
And he also, but to be fair, he also says that she's out of his league, and he hopes that she doesn't realize that, soon.
That was nice to acknowledge.
Yeah, that she's out of my league.
But
too good
in my opinion, she's out of almost all of their leagues.
Pretty much. There's only a select few where I'd be like, okay. Peter.
Yeah. Peter's one of my top faves. I like Kenny.
Mm-hmm. I think he's sweet.
They would be good together.
And I like Josiah, but I don't know if she likes him that much. We'll see, I guess. I don't know. It was weird because I was kind of expecting him to get a first impression rose, but she's obsessed with Brian.
And I don't know why. I was digging the Spanish too, but as far as first impressions go.
To be fair, we also are only seeing 5 minutes of what I'm sure was a 30-minute conversation.
That's true.
And the thing with Brian too, I think, is that it's a sexual thing. It's physical chemistry. I don't think it's necessary. Obviously, it's only physical because it's the first night. But with him, I think it's the kind of thing where it's like real hot and heavy at first, and then it kind of fizzles out because they realize they don't have that much in common.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Then we see AJ once again, Adam Jr. And there's dramatic music. The producers are just having a good old fucking time with this doll. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Kenny says that Adam Jr. is dressed fresh. He's got a dope fade. But he's like, if it comes alive like Annabelle, I'm out of here. Which is a fair concern. I mean, it is a doll. Okay, so dramatic music, and then it cuts to him laying sensually by the fireplace.
Gross.
It's a doll. It's like the weirdest thing.
I don't like it. That was odd.
And then it's like then they give him a confessional. Like it's confessional time, and he starts speaking French. It's like he's like in a Truffaut film. It's like the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, and it's freaking hilarious because the producers know exactly what they're doing. Like they were having a good time. Oh, and then Rachel, she talks about AJ, and she basically, she says that he scares her.
I agree, Rachel. He's not my type either.
What, you're not into dolls?
Not so much.
And it also doesn't help that like they show the doll like sitting with her on the couch, like as if they're gonna have a conversation with each other. And but my favorite part is after she says that she scares him, they then have like subtitles on AJ, and he says, "I disgust her." And he's depressed.
That was a good move.
That was hilarious. That did make me laugh. It was so stupid, but I kind of loved it.
Well, if a guy brings a puppet into the house, I think it's okay to have a little fun with it.
Yeah, like that's fun. And we have Brian once again, and she loves his age. That's what I wrote. She loves his age. She's all about it. Because Rachel is 31, and quite a few of the guys are in their late 20s, and then you have quite a few who are around her age. You have Kenny, who's like 35, but then Brian, who's 37. So she's into that. And I think to her, it's exciting because it's like, oh, this is a man. Like, he knows what he wants. He's been through his 20s. He's ready to settle down. I think that's where that comes from.
And I think Rachel's pretty mature, so having someone a little bit older is her speed.
Yes, definitely. And it was kind of funny, though, because like on Nick's season, she was like one of the oldest, if not the oldest.
Yeah.
And she isn't old. Like,
no, not at all.
She was one of the oldest. And Nick is 35, too. Like, he's 35. And, like, the oldest they could get was Rachel. And everybody else was, like, in their 20s. Like, Corinne was, like, 24. And you had Taylor, who was 23. It was kind of ridiculous. Especially in a show like this where it's, like, you're looking for someone to settle down with for the rest of your life. And you have 23-year-olds. Like, that doesn't... It just doesn't make sense to me.
That's not a settling down age, I don't think.
No. Maybe personal judgment clouds it. Maybe, I don't know. For me, I'm like, 20s are your fun time. You can have fun in your 20s. And 30s are the time when you can, or even late 20s, you can start really considering settling down. But 23? No.
I also think there are a lot of younger women who want to be on The Bachelor. So that could
too.
play a role in it.
That too. I think that's big. Also, I think Hollywood's aversion to casting women over the age of like 30 and things.
Yes.
But yeah, she's into Brian, and that's basically all you need to know, because then they immediately start making out, and he speaks Spanish to her, and it's aggressive makeout city. Like,
yeah,
it is like, it's face smashing. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
They're into each other, but
to say the least.
They kind of like each other like a little bit.
Just like, a bit.
Just a tiny bit, They have no chemistry. It's a real shame. It's a shame she doesn't like Brian at all. So then, of course, after this, we have been given a glimpse of the guys who are pretty much in the running for the first impression rose at this point, and Brian is pretty much in the lead. Like, let's be real here. Then we are shown the first impression rose. It's brought out, and it's sat menacingly on the table to intimidate everybody who comes near it. And, all the guys just start talking about it in true Bachelor fashion. Once it's brought out, they start talking about it. It happens every season. And then we see DeMario with Rachel, and DeMario's just talking about NSYNC or Backstreet Boys. She says NSYNC, which, how do you feel about that, Ellie?
I have no strong feelings on that. I don't think. I feel very indifferent.
Oh, and then, of course, after, DeMario talks about NSYNC or Backstreet Boys, he once again comes off very confident, and she's impressed by this confidence. She's into it. She's feeling it. She likes that. And of course, I don't have it in my notes, but I'm sure immediately after there was like a confessional of him talking about how confident he is.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like immediately. Honestly, every time he opens his mouth in a confessional and talking about how confident he is, it needs to be like Lilo and Stitch, where she like holds his mouth open and it starts playing like Elvis. It needs to be that with Confident by Demi Lovato. We'll get it. Like, we don't even need to hear what he's actually saying. It pretty much is the same thing at that point.
Yes.
And then, of course, we are then led into just the guys talking about how they haven't had time. And this is like when shit starts getting a little crazy. Guys want their time. They, it's that thing of, can I steal you for a second? Can I steal you for a second? But this time around, it's, bro, can I steal you for a second? Oh, can I steal you for a second? What up? I feel like Amanda Bynes and she's the man. Like,
oh, I get that vibe. Yeah. I see it.
Yes. But it was a very butch voice that I just did, obviously. I'm so talented at impressions. But things are getting a little contentious at this point, Start
lining up.
And it becomes that thing of like they're interrupting each other at inappropriate moments, and you could tell that the guys are mad about it, but they're trying not to start a fight like on the first night. So they're kind of like, nah, bruh, nah, it's fine, nah, bruh, nah.
And there was one time when she had to say like, no, he was here first, he asked first.
Exactly.
And that's just like, that's off-putting to me. If someone's trying that hard to get in front of someone else, like, I understand wanting to speak to her, but yeah. I wouldn't like that very much.
It's nice that you want to talk to her, but the problem is that it's inappropriate. It doesn't come across as cute or funny or
I think it's disrespectful to other people's time.
It really is, because it says that you don't respect the other guy's time. And like on this show, like I've always, personally said, if I were to go on the show, it's not just about, is this guy right for me? Is this guy the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with? It's also about noticing what he's like with other people, because that says so much about somebody's character.
Yes.
Like, so if a guy's an asshole to a bunch of other guys and is just really predatory and kind of really gross and just disrespectful, like, that would be a red flag to me. I wouldn't be into that.
No, I just want to be with someone who's that controlling.
Exactly. Although some people are into it. Caitlin. That was literally Sean on her season. He was just, like, so ridiculously predatory and just up everybody's ass all the freaking time. But she was into that. She was all about it, Then again, on this show, it's also that thing of, like, if you see something and then you say something, you get sent home half the time. It just depends. Yeah. So, yeah, you just see them fighting politely over this, and Mo at this point is drunk. And literally every time,
Off his ass.
literally, he's just like standing there. And DeMario, I think it is, no, it's Josiah. Josiah is with him and he's like, come on, bro, get in line. And literally every time there's an opportunity, he takes like a step, but he like, somebody else jumps in. It's like ridiculous. Like he can barely stand up. And it's not happening. And then we see our favorite, Lucas. I literally just wrote, being annoying as fuck.
Yes. He showed her his Whaboom tank top underneath his coat, which I was not impressed by.
And it doesn't have sleeves, which just, it's too much. It's too much.
Inappropriate.
It really, really is. And this is that, like, from this then spawns a whole feud between him and Blake Creepy Blake, which is like, it's ridiculous. But he's just being obnoxious. And Josiah even says, did y'all drug test? Like, it's freaking ridiculous. We also see her with Peter, which is relevant to this Lucas thing, because Lucas is literally standing on the side with the fucking megaphone, yelling into it and like commentating on everything that's happening.
Oh, he was so rude.
It was so obnoxious. Like, if I were her, I literally would have turned around and said, could you please stop? No, but so he's yelling there, being obnoxious. Peter and her are having a cute moment. They're talking. They're having a good time. He gets her chocolate, though, and she says that she doesn't like chocolate. And then immediately he's like, I will throw it into this fire. Like, he is so determined to please her and to make her happy. And she's like, no, but I'll eat it. It's fine. And then, of course, like a shooting star, like, goes above them. And she's like, did you plan that? And Lucas is still yelling and being obnoxious. And then promptly we are introduced to the feud between Blake and Lucas, because we see Creepy Blake commenting on Lucas, and he basically says Lucas doesn't deserve to be here, and that he compared him to the guy at the family reunion who pinches your nipples and puts a whoopee cushion underneath your chair. And I mean, it's apt. And he also says that he's a fucking clown, which, like, okay. Pot calling the kettle black. Like, let's be real here. Because Blake didn't come across to normal in his clip package from earlier. So this is just real rich. And then Lucas continues to just Whaboom away and juggle and act like an asshole. And Blake just basically lays it out and says that he's only here to be on TV, which is a fair assumption because he has a shirt with his face on it that says Whaboom, and that doesn't exactly say, I'm here for the right reasons.
Right.
It doesn't scream, I'm here to make friends, and it definitely doesn't scream that he's here for the right reasons.
No.
And honestly, if anything, he doesn't even need to say, I'm not here to make friends, because his actions and behavior and just everything just scream that he's not there to make friends.
Yeah.
Or at least if he's trying to, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I wrote, dude, ? Because I didn't know who this was. Started purring when he was talking to her, and she wasn't feeling it.
Yeah. I forgot about him.
I didn't even know what his name was. Because a banner didn't pop up or anything, and it's too early for me to be able to tell everybody apart. Like, that's just how it is every season. And I literally was just like, this dude's purring. Like, okay, weird.
Weird.
And then we cut back to Blake and Lucas fighting again. And this time they're fighting face to face. Like, this is it's come full circle. And basically Lucas says that, quote, I feel that everybody has a little Whaboom within them. And Blake, there's a pause, and Blake goes, I don't. It's so dramatic and so stupid and petty, but I understand, he really isn't there for the right reason, so I get it. But, it's fucking obvious that he's not there for the right reasons. I don't think he needs to be confronted.
No.
It's just a waste of time. Like, if anything, you're just, like, you're getting too caught up in that, and you're not focusing on what's important. You're too busy worrying about this doofus over here who's acting like a freak on television. Like, come on.
Right. Manufactured drama.
Yeah, it's not even like the guys who come on there and they, you know, they come across nice when they're with Rachel or The Bachelor or whoever is there, and then they turn around and act like an asshole or say things that are questionable. It's literally, he's just acting like a fool. Like, there's nothing to it. He's transparent in the fact that he's an idiot at this point. It's obvious that he's not there for the right reasons.
Right.
So then she talks to Kenny, and Kenny talks about his daughter, all that good stuff. He calls Rachel dope. They have a nice conversation, and he hopes he gets the first impression rose, but spoiler alert, he doesn't. Brian gets the first impression rose to nobody's surprise. And my favorite part of this whole thing of when Brian and Rachel are talking is that Mo is like standing in the bushes. He's just like standing there staring at them. And like when they conversate for a minute and then they immediately start making out and he screams no. It's like the weirdest thing. It's so creepy. And then promptly after this weird moment, we get a good segue into the first rose ceremony. And of course we get the typical like cut to the guys talking about it. And then we get the first call out, and of course it's Peter, because Rachel has good taste.
Truly, yes.
He's handsome, he's normal and well-adjusted, and in their little interaction, they had a good time. It was cute. I like him a lot. Then she calls out Jack Stone, Kenny, Dean, and then, of course, during this whole thing, we once again get DeMario and Diggy being confident and, just saying all that stuff that they typically do about how confident they are. To my surprise, and I'm sure to America's surprise, Jonathan, who is the tickle monster, gets a rose.
I was very surprised by that.
Like, what the fuck? And then Matt, the penguin guy, he gets a rose, which, I mean, I wasn't jazzed about, but like Alexis said, don't judge anybody wearing a costume. So Rachel's being fair, she's trying to really just play the game here, just try and figure out.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly. She's trying to, be fair to everybody. I get it.
And like maybe they had good conversation that we didn't get to see.
Exactly. It's like same thing with like Alexis. Alexis was the shark girl who, thought she was a dolphin and she was drunk, but she proved to be delightful. So you never know. And then my other favorite was Josiah's giving a voiceover, and it's one of those typical like, oh God, I don't know if I'm going to get a rose. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh, like freaking out kind of a voiceover. And he basically says, if a guy dressed as a penguin gets a rose, then Josiah has to get a rose. Which, I mean, I don't blame him.
No, I think the same thing.
Yeah. And like the costume thing, it's like, I get it, it's a weird choice. Personally, if I were on the show, I would judge, but
yes,
you can't judge too harshly.
Yeah, it is the easiest way to be remembered.
That's true. That's very, very true. So, there you go. Josiah does get a rose, though. Frederick talks about how he thinks that his past with her hurts his chances, but he gets a rose. And then my favorite, Adam. Just Adam. Not AJ, not Adam Jr., just Adam gets a rose. And then, of course, we cut it back to Blake E. again, creepy Blake, and he basically says, if Lucas gets a rose, then I'll be extremely upset. Bluke? That's their couple name, Bluke. Let's just be real here. The real romance story is Blake and Lucas. It's just a lot of, like, sexual tension. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they're so mad at each other. They just need to make out and, like, get it out of the way. Lucas, of course, spoiler alert, gets the final rose to America's chagrin.
Mm-hmm.
and to Satan's delight. And of course all the guys in their confessionals, they're so confident that he's not going to get one. But of course, because this is The Bachelor, because we can't have nice things, he gets one. And he's the very last guy, so that immediately tells you that he is a producer plant. If every other thing hasn't told you that he's a producer plant, this really sells it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like the most obvious producer-y thing in the world. Because there's some guys left over that are cute, that maybe she didn't have the best personal connection with, but like they're still cute and they're passable, and like this guy's staying around because the look in her eyes told me everything.
Yes.
Like, you could just tell she wasn't happy. And I don't buy the bullshit in all these interviews about, like, because she went on Jimmy Kimmel right after the show aired, and she was like, I just wanted to give him a chance. I want to get to know him, all this other stuff. But it's like, no, producers are absolutely at work here, let's be real, because there's nothing redeeming about him. So then, of course, when Lucas gets his rose, it's also important to note that he yells, Whaboom! He yells it once again, and all the guys basically look like they want to murder him.
And I did too.
Yeah, me too. Everybody I think did in that moment. It was unpleasant, and I hate him. He is my enemy. I don't like him. Yeah, and then basically we're just wrapping up the episode at this point. We're coming to the end here. Blake K, cute Blake, not creepy Blake, Chipotle Blake, he doesn't get a rose. I'm sad. But in his exit little interview, it's daylight out. It's been a long night. But he basically just says, she's amazing. Or he said, she's more amazing than I could have ever imagined. And he just remains positive. It just seems really, really nice. And he compliments all the other guys. And my favorite, though, is that he called Lucas the kaboom guy. Not the Whaboom guy, the kaboom guy. And then Milton is another one that they pay attention to, and he basically just cries, and he says he's sad because he brought a bunch of nice suits and he won't get to wear them. And then he was probably one of the best dressed guys there. And it was just dramatic and ridiculous. And that's pretty much the episode at this point. So then we're given the promo, and we just see everything that's going to unfold. Lee is my enemy. It's confirmed. That's all we see. There's fighting. Somebody's girlfriend comes through and confronts him. Somebody gets a bloody eye. It's a lot. And then the final thing is the stinger scene, as I like to call it, like it's a Marvel movie. So it's the stinger scene is the guys rapping about Rachel, which is interesting. Josiah raps, and it's decent. Milton, one of the weird guy with the baseball card, he raps, and it's like not that impressive. I mean, he is a white guy, so no rhythm. And then Milton, he raps, but the entire thing is bleeped out. And then there's just this great awkward silence afterwards, and they're like, okay. But that's literally the episode. Like, that's the whole thing. I look forward to it. I think I look forward to this season.
I think I do too.
I have a good feeling,
Yeah, and it'll be entertaining if nothing else.
Exactly. There was a lot of people who I think were concerned about Rachel being Bachelorette because it's like my mom included. They were just worried because they thought she was boring, which I could understand.
I could get that from last season.
Yeah, like
I think she's very relatable.
Yes, she's relatable, and she's nice and normal and has her shit together, and is probably too good for the show. But yeah, so she's relatable and likable. At the end of the day, the guys are what is going to make this season interesting, because there's so much.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
So much material to look forward to.
Exactly. There's so much. So now that the episode is done, we have come to the part of our show where we ask the important question, Who gets the rose? Dun 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 dun. There'll be music here. There'll be a flute or like a violin or something or a trumpet.
Do 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 do.
Do, 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 do. Okay, so the criteria for what this is like basically our version of a first impression rose. You know, this is our opportunity to just pick a favorite, and the criteria is that it doesn't necessarily have to be someone who was particularly well liked by Rachel in the episode. It doesn't have to be like her top pick. It can be just whoever you were really feeling, someone who impressed you or someone who made you laugh or just someone who you really liked. So it could really be anybody. So I think I'll let you go first, Ellie, since I think I need a second to think on this.
I really think Peter was my favorite. He was well dressed. He was well mannered. All the way around, I think he is my number one first impression, 10 out of 10.
Absolutely. I agree. Since you picked him, I think I'll try and go out on a limb here. Lucas, no, I'm kidding.
Oh, no.
Could you imagine?
No.
Like, if I said that, you would literally have to call 911.
I would shit my pants. I would hang up the phone. We would never speak again.
Like, I've spent the whole time, like, shit-talking him, and then we're going to turn around and be like, just kidding, plot twist. Like, it's
Friendship over.
Like, it's a freaking M. Night Shyamalan movie. No, but I think I'm going to go with, I'm just going to say Josiah. I'm going to keep it fresh here. I liked him. I thought he was interesting. And I don't know. I enjoyed him. I thought his story was sad, but also uplifting at the end. And I just, he commentated a lot the whole night. He was kind of like one of the voices. And that, because they do that on reality shows. You always have like the one person per episode who's kind of the narrator. Sometimes it applies to a whole season, but like in this episode, he was really the narrator. But I liked his commentary. I liked him a lot. I thought he was cool.
I think they connected really well.
Yes. Now, I think since it's the first episode too, I think it's important to also ask, who do we think, say they're still going to pick somebody from the season to be the Bachelor, which I'm sure they will.
Ooh.
Who do we think is in the running for that? I know it's early to say, but I think it's a fair question.
I think that's a really tough one.
Yeah, because it's hard to say this early, especially.
Yes.
Because some guys, it's like when they're on there, you can kind of tell that they're angling for the Bachelor. Like, whether or not they get it, they're angling for it. JoJo's season, I think Aaron Rodgers' brother, is a particularly good example of this. I personally felt like the entire time he was angling for the Bachelor gig. I think that he was definitely into JoJo, but at the same time, I was like, I'm getting the sense that he won't be too disappointed if he's not picked, like that kind of a thing. But at this point, I don't think there's anyone in particular who's, besides the obvious Lucas trying to go for exposure, I don't think there's anyone that's particularly really angling for it, at least not yet.
I could see Lee making it to The Bachelor and having this like goofy country bachelor, which would be a nitmare.
I think the promo hints that he's gonna go full devil, so I don't think it'll happen. I think that would be a very controversial pick. Now, putting him on like Bachelor in Paradise, absolutely, I think they would do that.
I could see that.
It's really hard to say, but I feel like Peter would be a good candidate if it doesn't work out, Like, I could see him getting to the end, getting his heart broken, and being cordial and normal and not a freak, and just being a good pick. However, since they have Rachel, I think they might want to try for a Black Bachelor possibly, so it could be someone like Josiah even,
Yeah, or maybe DeMario.
Maybe, absolutely. Oh, speaking of someone whose intentions aren't pure, I forgot that somebody said that about him. Whitney said that about him, so let's keep that in the back of our our minds here, back in the Rolodex. But yeah, I definitely think that Peter would be a good option. Josiah would be a good option. Demario, if he doesn't fuck this up. And then even like this might be kind of a dark horse pick, but even like Jack Stone. Personally, I think he's kind of serial killery, but
Me too.
Not
the
that
double
he
name throws me off because everyone has only their first names, but he's Jack Stone.
So, which kind of discounts him a little bit because it kind of feels like they're setting up to be like a joke when they do that. But I think that he could be charming and attractive to a lot of people.
Yeah, I am sure he could be.
Maybe.
It's a possibility.
Who knows? Or maybe even Dean, which, I don't really particularly care for him, but I could see that too. Just because of his personality, I don't know. He's kind of, outside of his comment, he seems normal, dare I say? I don't know. He just, like, I could see a bunch of, like, girls swooning over him, mostly, is what I'm trying to say, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. I think that's the first episode. So it's been real and it's been fun, but was it all real fun? I hope so. But until next time, hopefully you guys will keep tuning in. I don't really know. Maybe we bored you half to death. I don't really know. And hopefully the next time we record, maybe sound quality will be a tiny bit better. I don't know. This is literally like the cheapest setup in the world. Like, this is being held up by a piece of string. And like, it was paid for with like a nickel. So, I mean,
stay tuned.
We're trying our best. Maybe that'll be like the underlying plot line of this podcast is, will their setup get any better?
We are just two girls trying our best.
We're just trying to live our best lives, okay? And then by the end of the season, we'll be reunited, like, in person. We won't have to do this over Skype. We're working girls. We're busy. It's easier to just do it this way.
Very busy.
But hopefully we will have more, in-person stuff if possible.
Yeah.
But, you never know. It doesn't matter. I don't think it diminishes the quality of the show. But hopefully we will be consistent in doing this. Saying that right now, I'm trying to hold myself accountable.
Yes.
I'm trying to hold us
and
accountable.
also me.
Yes. So it'll happen. So basically we're going to say Monday nights we're going to upload. It's going to be great. So you guys can find us on soundcloud.com/thefinalrose. We also have a Twitter account, and the handle is @finalrosepod. And then we also have a Facebook page, which you can find by just searching Final Rose Podcast, and it will pop up. We don't have anything on there currently, but we're, hopefully going to upload things, keep things updated, and all that good stuff. And that's it. That is the episode. That's all we have to say. And hopefully we'll see you next time. This has been Shelby.
And Ellie.
And you were just listening to the Final Rose podcast. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Whaboom!
Whaboom!
Whaboom!